Train the muscles, not the joints.
So as you can see with bench presses here, I'll show you a clip. When I'm bench pressing, I can take the set to a pretty deep level of failure, but the determining factor of when I end the set is whether I can re-rack the weight, whether I can lift it all the way to the top or not. And with dumbbells, I don't necessarily need to worry about that. If I can't squeeze out an extra rep, I can continue a couple more reps in the extended range of motion and then pull the dumbbells in and sit up with the dumbbells, or drop them all together if I have to. But with the barbell bench, I could drop the weight because I do have a squat rack type of setup. I have the safety pins in place so that way the bar won't roll onto my neck and so forth. And I highly recommend you always do that if you're going to bench press without a spotter, because you never know what's going to happen. But in most cases, people don't have access to a setup like this, or if they're at the gym and they're on a bench, and if they take the set too deep into failure, they're going to be stuck with that bar on their chest unless they have somebody nearby to pull it off of it, right? So if you're doing barbells, you cannot take the set into as deep a level of failure unless you have a spot. And you could do something like I do with the squat rack here, but it's a bit of a pain in the butt to collapse with the weight with a barbell in a squat rack or a squat cage, and then basically take the plates off, put the bar back up on there, and then put the plates back on it. You know what I'm saying? There's a little bit more of a process involved, but you can do it. But the way most people do it in the gym is that they have a spotter. And this brings to mind something else I want to say. If you're going to have a spotter, try to choose a spotter that is proficient at spotting, or somebody that has some experience. Because I saw somebody at the gym a few months ago, and he's probably not watching this video, but if he is, you know who you are. And he was spotting this guy in the gym with 325 pounds on the barbell bench. And of course, this spotter became distracted, as you probably see in some of these Instagram posts and stuff. And anyway, the guy on the bench was doing, like, it was almost like he was rowing a kayak as trying to get that weight up. And his spotter was nowhere to be seen until, a few seconds had already passed to this guy doing the kayak. So he's lucky that there was no extreme injury from that. But if you're going to do forced reps, try first and foremost to make sure you have a good spotter, because if they're not doing their job, muscles have a tendency to just go dead sometimes, especially when you're using moderately heavy weight. And you want to make sure somebody's prepared for that sort of scenario, or they can help read the situation and tell you, hey, maybe you should re-rack it now rather than going another rep in there and then I have to do a deadlift, right? Because nobody wants to try to deadlift in an awkward position on bench. Because that's the other thing. Sometimes, again, people will take the set too much into failure, and even with a spotter, they can't get the weight up. So dumbbells, they kind of offset this entire sort of scenario, where the worst case scenario with the dumbbell, you can bring it in and then just drop if you need to. It's not recommended to do that, especially at most gyms these days, but if you have to, at least you can. Now you may notice that my reps continually change in range of motion as I get closer and closer to failure. So you could really look at it as a way of doing forced reps. Except with dumbbells, the neat part is that when you hit failure, you could just, not drop them, but just, put them on the lap and put them back on the rack, right? Where with barbell, if you collapse, it's a little bit more work to get that barbell off you. So that's why forced reps are better with a spotter if you're going to be doing barbell. Now, I'm not saying to always do forced reps, but sometimes I'm particularly motivated. And with dumbbells, it makes it just easy. If I can't do a full rep, then I just keep on pumping out those partials to put that chest straight into a deeper level of failure. And until I can't do any more, then that's it. Then I put it back on the rack. So doing 3 sets like that is more than enough. I find it stimulates the body and gives me a great pump. And at the same time, it does highlight one of the advantages of doing dumbbells from time to time, because you can push those sets into failure safely. Of course, always maintain control of the weight. And that's the first and foremost thing. But if you can maintain control and you can put those reps into a deeper level of failure with no risk of collapsing the dumbbell on yourself or something, you can actually get some great stimulation. So that's also something for you to experiment with. So hopefully this video helps you understand the advantage, or at least the possible advantage, of using dumbbells once in a while. And like I said, I love both. I like using barbells and dumbbells, but there's a time and place for each, and each has its own advantages at certain times in your training. Mountain. So I hope this helps out in your training. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalgalantbodybuilding.com, and thanks to the Patreon supporters, and take care for now.